I was thinking more about the frog fighting the Octogator, and I think we could increase the size of Octogator by twofold. Really make it menacing.
I tend to agree with that. If you increased Octogator size, a much more forbidding foe he will become.
Are you guys talking about comics? So again, I do comics be that which talk about you or diddly doing.
Who are you?
Do you know it is rude to just inject yourself into a conversation?
Especially with two people you don't even know.
To address the question of who I am, answer I will. My name is a very simple man. You can call me Ericsom that you can. As for injecting myself into your conversation. If I diddly did not do that which you accuse me of, speak with no one I ever would. Plus 2 new friends this day made I have.
We don't know you.
What do you want, Ericsom?
Good of you to ask. It diddly is for heard. I did a conversation about comics in the wind. And just like that, here I was. No, not how I got here I did, but no doubt that's that God's led me here for a reason. That reason I presume would be to share my idea that I have. An idea for a comic to share I do.
If we hear this idea of yours, will you go away?
No, you can stay. That's what we do here. Listen to others. Only way to own our enemies is to hear what they have to say. Go ahead, Ericsom. Tell us your tale.
Thank you. I diddly do. My comics is about a black man with a beard and shoulder hair. He stands about 4'8" from the ground when standing, and he himself has an idea for a comic. See what I diddly did there? Inception. Comic within a comic within a comic that it is will be that which it is that I diddly bring.
And what is the story of this black man with a beard and shoulder hair?
The story. You want to know what now?
Well, the plot. What is your comic going to be about?
Oh, the plot of my comic. Goddamn diddly do. I almost forgot what it was which I was talking about. Silly me. Yes, the plot. Well, as you know, it's about a black man. What you don't know is that this black man is a podcaster on YouTube, the tube that is channel built by a failed rap and then metal band tried to build. He did. Though failed, an audience he did indeed build by crying about how woke Disney and Marvel have become. Now, all this information telling you I am, well, it won't be in the comic until the 10th issue. It's going to be a mystery box that will keep the readers hooked and wanting to buy the next issue.
That sounds like a dumb idea. So your comic is just about a black bearded man with shoulder hair that runs a podcast and has an idea for a comic book.
I have to agree with TJ here. Sounds like a bad idea. You need to give the reader something about the character. They need to know about who he is and was. The reader needs to be invested in the character of your story.
You know, if I was a different black man, I would have blocked both of your asses for disrespecting my idea. But I'm not that different black man. I am this black man, and I will just disregard your feedback. Since know not what my brilliant business strategy is. And so not knowing of that which is my business strategy, see the bigger picture, you will not.
Well, don't let us stop you. Continue. Tell us what your comic is about.
You see, that's what I'm talking about. This is what they do. They throw out criticism and then want to hear about your comic. Goddamn diddly do. Okay, I will continue. The comic is about a black podcaster who has amassed an audience shitting on woke stuff, fighting that culture war and all that jazz. He then comes up with an idea to use the culture war and his audience that believes they are fighting that culture war to produce a comic of his own, which is about fighting the mainstream.
So what is his comic book about?
Oh, his comic book is about a black man who gave up being a superhero. It begins 2 weeks earlier, then starts another week earlier after that. He is called in to check on some girl. No one knows, and he don't care about. He then is disrespected, beaten up, thrown in hospital, and eventually goes and picks up his superhero costume. It'd be amazing. So this bearded podcaster has this idea for that very comic I just described. He promotes it to his audience, and at this time in the comic, he has many a friend with many a larger comic book YouTuber. So they too help promote his comic to their audiences. Long story short, this guy makes millions selling his comic book under the idea of fighting the culture war. All was good until the customers began receiving the comic and reading it. The comic was thrown together by Brazilian sweatshop artists using free 3D assets from an online warehouse. Cheaply colored, badly written with tons of errors, then pumped out and sold for a fortune.
So it sounds like this main character of yours has created a comic to scam his audience to become rich.
Oh, the plot is much thicker than that. The main character also sold books to a charity. He was hoping to keep the money and just ship the books. But another podcaster called him out and he was forced to send the money to the charity.
I hate people like that. This main character of yours doesn't sound like a nice guy I can get behind.
Is the main character of a comic meant to be a good guy?
Well, it generally helps, so I'll say yes.
I have to concur. You need a character you can get behind. So far, this character is someone I do not want to support in any way.
Well, you're both wrong and such. Be that as it may, the plot thickens when an online ministry sues him for using their name on his comic book. Eventually, Diddley does get this fixed, having to mention he is not associated in any way with them on his website. So as you know, his comic is out and people are reading it. People are not impressed and giving him feedback. Problem is he is blocking everyone that has any kind of negative feedback, even blocks the larger creators, which help promote his comic to begin with. This guy goes so far off the rails that multiple other YouTube channels pop up just to follow the spurging out that this guy does.
I must say, I'm kind of interested in what happens to the guy. Does he redeem himself? Does he wake up and realize what he's doing? Does he fall and collapse in on himself?
You're going to have to back my comic and wait and find out, aren't you? I can't spoil any more for you, given too much away. I have already. But see, you do a glorious comic. This is...
Not sure if the word glorious is one that I would use. I'm interested in if this main character of yours creates more than one comic book. Ripping off more people, or do people open their eyes to this grift?
Well, I wasn't really going to spoil anymore. But since asked, you have the answer to that question you have given me is yes. Yes, he writes a sequel to his first comic. Then he hires another writer to write a spin-off comic about super police, which showed up in his previous comics. And his latest book to come will be one about a super chick. He believes that'll sell big time. Problem is, each book that comes out, sales drop dramatically. This adds to his spurging out, but the kicker to come is his book about the super chick. He's hiring twin lesbian social justice warriors to write it. Turns out these twins are into and have created lesbian incest. Gore porn, actually literally fucking each other in a movie they themselves made. Can't spoil how that goes, though. That will be in a future issue.
So it certainly seems like you've given this a lot of thought.
No, not really. Actually, all I did was think up the dumbest black man I could imagine, put him in a situation, and made sure he made the worst possible decisions he could. Quite simple, really. So what do you think of my comic idea?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I can't say I am 100% behind the main character, but I will say is definitely a better story than ᴏ.
Oh, without a doubt. Much better story than ᴏ. In fact, I would go as far as to say it puts ᴏ to shame.
Forgive me, you must. For I literally don't know what an ᴏ is. Can you explain?
Oh, I wouldn't worry about it. Not many people do. It's just one of the worst comics ever written. So tell me, how much of your comic have you written yet?
Well, I got this one page here with some concept art on. But don't diddly worry, for I am going to hire a ghostwriter, grab a team that can throw some 3D assets together, and boom. My comic will be ready to print and ship. Shipping. That's the most important thing these days.